Is Florida eliminating property taxes, or is something else going on that we all need to become aware of?
Florida is talking about possibly getting rid of property taxes.
It's going to be good for taxpayers, and it's ultimately going to be good for students as well.
No other state has ever eliminated property taxes.
Why should you pay taxes?
Home insurance costs are out of control, to $1,989 per year in 2019 to now $11,759 per year in 2025. That's an over 500% increase in just 6 years.
Florida home insurance rates are through the roof, and they will continue to skyrocket.
We're paying twice as much.
Sounds amazing, right? No property taxes. More money in your pocket. But wait, Florida already has no income tax.
Florida is one of only 9 states with no income tax.
It would mean the billionaire class, the millionaires, no longer pay a nickel of taxes.
And now, with no potential property tax revenue, how will schools, police departments, street services, education, how will everything get funded?
Every year, the local and state governments in the United States raise something on the order of $500 billion in property taxes.
And now, how would the cities inside of Florida function without this revenue? And most importantly, is this really going to help you? Or is this a cash grab in disguise? Florida's housing market isn't just battling high prices, it's fighting for survival.
Housing remains a key issue. High mortgage rates, though, and high prices.
So many Americans are being priced out of the market altogether, with mortgage rates consistently about 7% and sky-high home prices.
In the past few years, hurricanes have caused billions of dollars in damages, forcing major carriers like Farmers, Allstate, and Progressive to abandon the state entirely.
Insurance providers are dropping coverage in Florida. In the last year, multiple providers, including Farmers Insurance, Bankers Insurance, and Lexington Insurance, withdrew from the Sunshine State.
After Hurricane Ian, it caused $112 billion alone in destruction.
Disasters here in Florida have increased by as much as 81% over the past 20 years. Natural disasters have cost the state nearly $250 billion since the early 1980s.
Many companies have decided Florida is just too risky to insure. Now millions of homeowners inside of Florida are left with sky-high insurance premiums or no coverage at all.
Floridians are paying 42% more in home insurance than last year. The national annual average is $1,700, but homeowners in Florida are paying about $6,000.
So if another major storm hits, what will happen next? Meanwhile, Florida's insurance crisis is not just surviving, it is thriving because of it all. Public records show that insurance companies and their lobbyists have issued millions of dollars in donations to lawmakers and public officials representing the interest, so they say, of the homeowners of Florida. Then, those very lawmakers who received millions of dollars in donations have put forward policies and protections in place to guard insurance companies from lawsuits, making it much harder for these very property owners to pursue the policies in which they have in place and that they've paid for to protect their property. Influencing policies that have stripped away consumer protections, making it harder for homeowners to sue insurance companies for denied claims. Meanwhile, these insurance companies are reporting record profits. Think about that business model. You charge 500% more than what you did in 2019 and then make it nearly impossible to pay out on the insurance policies that people are paying into. And as these insurance companies get richer, so do the politicians that now want to eliminate your property taxes. Something's off. So the big question, is this insurance crisis and the property tax conversation all by design? Or is this finally in the hands of the American people? The American people going to get a break for once? It makes me wonder. Let's think about this. The rest of the country is quietly flipping the script on government spending, taxes, and even the IRS itself. Is this real or something much, much bigger going on? Today's video is sponsored by my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have very big plans to capitalize on what will likely be the greatest wealth transfer of all time, from now until about 2027, 2028, we would love to help you if you have any credit issues that could get in the way of funding. So if you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, any negative or derogatory items in your credit report, go to greatcreditfast.com, click the link in the description just below this video, schedule a free call for tomorrow. Some states are slashing jobs, others are reforming taxes, and a few lawmakers are throwing out the idea of eliminating the IRS altogether.
Governor DeSantis floated the idea of getting rid of property taxes.
There is a push from Governor Ron DeSantis to abolish property taxes altogether.
It's no secret that the IRS is woefully unpopular with the American people.
Is this the beginning of an economic revolution or a disaster waiting to happen? Let's break it all down. Imagine this. You bought a home in Florida in 2019 and your annual property insurance bill was $1,988 per year. Today, you check your bill, it's up over 500%. And Florida is not alone. Home insurance rates are skyrocketing across the entire country. California, Texas, and Louisiana are seeing sky-high insurance rates, and they're getting higher and higher by the year. But here's what makes Florida different. 42% increase just last year alone, even though lawsuits and fraud were supposedly fixed. The state's last resort insurer, Citizens Insurance, is exploding in size because of so many companies canceling policies and pulling out of the state altogether. So tell me in the comments below, how much did your insurance go up last year? Now let's talk about something that could completely change Florida's economy forever. Eliminating property taxes. Because right now, property taxes fund 73% of all Florida public schools. They pay for police, fire departments, roads, and local governments. Florida famously has no income tax, which leaves property taxes as a cornerstone of funding local governments and schools. So what happens when money disappears? Some experts say that Florida's sales taxes could increase to 12%, the highest in the country. Others warn that city budgets will collapse and job cuts will run rampant. Worse infrastructure and higher local fees. And if that happens, contrary to popular belief, many home values may drop, not rise, simply over service declines and high cost of living. So here's the big question. Would you rather pay higher sales tax or higher property tax? Which one do you think hurts more? And it's not just Florida, it's across the entire country. The Fair Tax Act proposes to eliminate federal income taxes altogether and replacing them with a 30% national sales tax.
The Fair Tax Act. It calls for abolishing the IRS and rewriting the current tax code.
Federal layoffs are happening at a record level. 275,000 workers were cut in a single week. State job cuts are accelerating, with California and Texas slashing thousands of government positions. Some say this is the future of America. Others warn it could wreck the system. So is this the beginning to something much bigger? And if you're wondering if this impacts you, pay attention. For homeowners, insurance costs are already at record highs. Property taxes might go away, but sales taxes may soar. Cities may lose funding, and property values may suffer because of it. For landlords, these property owners might just push on their costs to the tenant, leading to rent increases. For business, large corporations, they can absorb the higher cost. But for small businesses, they may suffer. For the job market, if government layoffs continue to increase, these workers will look into the private sector for employment, making job competition that much tougher due to the surging growth inside of remote work. We have now employers hiring all over the world, and with hundreds of thousands of highly educated workers coming into the private sector, just imagine what this will do to local economies. Not to mention AI and automation likely going to grow in the coming few years.
Goldman Sachs says up to 300 million full-time jobs around the world could be affected by artificial intelligence.
For everyday Americans, inflation is making things that much more expensive. Food, gas, housing, healthcare.
U.S. inflation rose to 3% for the 12 months ending in January. It is the largest jump in nearly 1.5 years.
401k balances are hitting a record high, but real wages simply aren't keeping up. So with government changes, economic shifts, and rising costs, what's really happening here? The changes we're seeing in Florida and across our country could change our economy for years to come. But the real question is who benefits and who gets left behind. Now, in my opinion, if this does happen, it would likely not be from the government saying, we've had a lien on your property. Property taxes started in 1796. Many say in Florida it was around 1839 is when these levies on land began. To me, it seems very odd that they now these lawmakers discuss, we're going to release our grip, our lien on your property to benefit you. Only weeks after the conversation of abolishing the IRS, getting rid of Department of Education, and doing these major overhauls. There has to be something there where it's, for the benefit of the rich, for the benefit of the large corporations, and not really the benefit of the everyday middle class individual. If they do remove property taxes and they increase sales taxes, imagine what that will likely do to small businesses and the employees in which they employ, right? It would likely be a devastating blow for these companies. However, imagine you own a property in Miami Beach on the water, or you own some mega estate, $20, $30, $40 million estate, $100 million property in West Palm Beach, and you have no property tax on that. That's incredible. That's an incredible position to be in. This is this shift. If local sales tax goes up, these areas like Lake Worth and these areas that aren't really that desirable, imagine what happened to the police departments, the schools, street services. Everything would likely continue to get worse and worse and worse. But the higher echelon neighborhoods, they can absorb 20, 30% sales tax. It doesn't matter if they go out to a meal and before it was $200 and now it's $250, $280, $300. It doesn't matter to the wealthy, right? The wealthy can then use all of this liquidity to go invest and buy up a lot of these homes. So I believe we are likely going to see a major shift if this does unfold. I don't think it's going to be one that benefits the everyday person in Florida, but it will definitely benefit the 1%, as all major shifts generally do. What are your thoughts about this entire situation? Do you think that they're going to eliminate property taxes and they simply want to help out the everyday American? Or do you think there's something fishy here? Because when you look at just how much insurance has gone up from 1988 to over $11,000, and over an $8,000 a year increase. You used to be able to rent an apartment, a one-bedroom apartment in most sections of Florida for $800 a month in 2007, 2008. Now, that's simply an insurance increase on a monthly basis. Think about how crazy that is. Meanwhile, lawmakers are getting millions and millions of dollars in donations, but now they want to help you. I don't know. Let's have a conversation about this below. And if you'd like to fix your credit, we would love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative or derogatory items in your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com. Click the link in the description just below this video. Schedule a free call tomorrow. Catch you next video.